Are you thinking about moving to Omaha? You might be curious how much it actually costs to live here. In this video, we're going to talk about the cost of living in Omaha, Nebraska. My name is Morgan Putnam, and I am a local real estate expert, and I help people figure out if Omaha is the right fit for them. Make sure to stick around until the end so you can hear how Omaha compares to other similar sized cities. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Omaha Insider YouTube channel. Please take a moment to subscribe to this so you are the first to hear about what's going on in the Omaha area. The first thing that really determines the cost of living in an area is the cost of buying a home. In February 2025, the average cost for buying a home in Omaha was $339,000. $339,000 seems like a very affordable home price, especially if you're moving from the coast or from a large city. However, if you are moving from a place in the Midwest already, Omaha tends to be a little bit more expensive. However, that's not everything that goes into buying a home and the cost of living. You also have to have insurance factored in, as well as property taxes, and property taxes in Nebraska are very high. The tax levy in Omaha is anywhere from 2 to 3% of the assessed value of a home. So the county assesses the value of the home really by looking at like similar sales and comparables. They take the assessed value and multiply that by the tax levy. The older parts of Omaha, the levy is usually around 2 to 2.2%. And then in the newer parts of Omaha and in the suburbs, it can be up to about 3%, or in some cases even a little bit above 3%. So that is a very high tax levy. That is a lot higher than most other places that I've heard in the United States. And so that is something that can really affect a monthly payment. And a lot of people don't know about it. So it's important to factor that in when you are looking at homes in the Omaha metro area. And next, we want to talk about insurance premiums. So insurance premiums in Nebraska are very high. The increased number of natural disasters in the United States have led insurance premiums to be higher everywhere, but in Nebraska, it is particularly bad. And so when I talk with people in other markets outside of Omaha, they're usually surprised by how expensive our insurance premiums are. If you escrow your purchase of your home, then that'll be every month. You'll make a payment towards that, or you'll pay it once a year or twice a year, depending on what you negotiate with your insurance. Same with property taxes. You either pay those every single month or you pay them twice a year. So it's just important to know how that will affect your monthly payment, or you have to budget for it knowing that that is coming up twice a year. The average cost for utilities in Omaha is anywhere from about $175 to $350 a month. And that is for just, your average consumer. It obviously really varies depending on usage as well as the size of your home. If you have a very large home and you maybe have a lot of kids and there's a lot of people in there, it can be a lot higher than that, especially in the really cold winter months or in the really hot summer months. Because Omaha experiences the extremes of weather, that can really drive up utility bills during the really hot months and then also during the really colder months. In Omaha, our main two utility companies are Omaha Public Power District as well as MUD, which is the Metropolitan Utilities District, and they service the majority of the Omaha Metro, but then there's also a few other ones, especially if you're down in Sarpy County. If you live within Omaha, trash is included in your property taxes, but if you live in a sanitary improvement district, which are suburbs outside of Omaha, then you usually have to pay for your trash service, as well as if you live in a different municipality within Omaha, like Papillion, you usually have to pay for your own trash. Omaha does not have a robust public transportation system, so you really have to rely on your car to live in Omaha. So the cost of owning a car is usually around $1,000 a month, and that is if you have a car payment. If you don't have a car payment, then it's really just the cost of gas and insurance. It is important to note that it is difficult to rely on the bus as your main mode of transportation in Omaha, just because it has very limited routes. There's going to be a streetcar from Midtown to downtown, which is a huge development for Omaha and is very exciting, but is again, a lot of these public transportation options don't necessarily go deep into the neighborhood, so you have to be able to be close to a bus stop to be able to access these services. Having a car is pretty essential in Omaha. For your average family of four in Omaha, your grocery cost is probably going to be somewhere between $350 up to about $600 per month. And so obviously that's very dependent on the size of your family and the type of foods that you eat. We have a lot of different grocery store offerings in Omaha. Hy-Vee is a Midwestern grocery chain, and it has a large presence in Omaha. We also have Baker's, which is the Kroger brand grocery store in Omaha. We have Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Costco, Aldi, Sam's Club. We have all of the different grocery store offerings. And so that definitely changed how much your monthly bill is for groceries. As far as childcare costs, we are pretty in line with a lot of different places other than large metropolises. I would say we're quite a bit cheaper than large cities, but it still is pretty expensive to have your kid in full-time care. So for infant care, it's going to be at the absolute cheapest, probably $1,200 a month. And that is at the absolute cheapest, up to $4,000 is the most expensive I've heard for infant care. I'm sure you could probably find a place that's more expensive than that. For your average toddler, like preschooler, it's going to be more in that like $1,000 to $1,500 to $1,600 a month for childcare. Folks usually consider gym membership as a cost of living, and we have everything from like the cheapest Planet Fitness, which is like $15 a month, I think, to like the YMCA, which is around $50 a month for just an individual membership, up to very expensive like Pilates and yoga studios that will be anywhere from $200 to $300 a month. So that's really a personal choice. If that is something that's important to you and something that you want to participate in, I feel like Omaha has all of the offerings of what you would maybe want in a gym. In Omaha, you have to be on top of your lawn maintenance. And so some people do not want to do that themselves. A ton of people do, but some people don't. And so the cheapest lawn care that I've heard is about $35 per mow. And sometimes that includes edging. Sometimes it doesn't. So you would obviously want to double check that, up to about $100 per mow. And so in the spring and fall, when it's a little bit cooler, but still warm, grass in Nebraska grows really fast. And so you definitely have to mow at least once a week, sometimes more. And then in the really hot part of summer, you have to mow about once a week. In Omaha, we have all of the different restaurants that you can eat out at. We have very affordable options as well as very expensive high-end dining. And so that is really a lifestyle choice of what you're looking for. But I would say Omaha offers everything along the scale of price. Omaha has a pretty large entertainment scene. There are a lot of different venues for bands to come and play. There's the Symphony. There's the Orpheum that has Broadway shows that come along. And then there's also a lot of different entertainment options for kids. There's different play spaces, as well as the Henry Doorly Zoo and the Children's Museum. If you're a member of the Omaha Public Library, they offer a companion program with a lot of these different offerings for children, and so you can get in for free, which is amazing. Let's compare Omaha to other Midwestern metropolises for cost of living. Minneapolis and Chicago are surprisingly similar as far as they are quite a bit more expensive than Omaha to live in for cost of living. And the main driving force of this is the cost of buying a home. So Chicago and Minneapolis are just around that 12% more expensive than Omaha. So you would need to make 12% more than what you would make living in Omaha to have the same lifestyle. Kansas City is about 3% cheaper to live in Kansas City than it is in Omaha. And the main factor with that is also housing. You need to be making about 3% more to live in Omaha to have the same lifestyle of what you could have in Kansas City. The cost of living in Des Moines is about 5 to 7% cheaper than it is in Omaha, and the biggest factor with that is also housing. That is obviously the bottom line, largest determining factor of what is the most expensive place to live and the most affordable place to live. Is Omaha affordable to you? What do you think? I'd love to hear in the comments what you think about Omaha and if you feel like it is affordable or not. My name is Morgan Putnam, and I would love to help you determine if Omaha is the right fit for you. I'd love to be your guide in figuring out what Omaha neighborhood specifically is right for you. My number is 402-720-9886.